And we are live, everyone, and ready to go here for another episode of 500 Miles. Again, I am your host, Adam Relkin, joined by my co-host.
Brody Wojcik, how's it going? How's it
Go.
going? Welcome to episode 3, episode 2 for me. Really happy to be back here, and we have a lot to talk about this week, starting with I beat your favorite driver again.
Again, and clearly Denny Hamlin pissed off his father saying that. From what we could tell, he definitely pissed off his dad again. He actually called his dad, who told him to not say that line again after winning, and he was like, I'm gonna deal with this again because I remember he made that promise he wasn't gonna do it. He still did it, but I mean, you could also say that he delivered it, but we can't really say that anymore because FedEx isn't his sponsor anymore.
I guess that is true. Yeah, he hasn't had FedEx forever. It's now Progressive and Mavis and whatever.
Yeah,
So
and
Sport
Yahoo.
Clips.
No, Mavis is gone too.
Oh, Mavis is gone too. Okay.
Yeah, this week. Yeah, this year Denny's got a bunch of different sponsors, but Progressive being the main one. But this was a really interesting race at Michigan. Probably a really good race. I've seen people say it was the best of the year. I don't know about that, but it definitely is up
No, I don't
there.
think so. I was really pulling for Hocevar there at the end until he blew the
Oh my
tire. I
God.
really thought that we
Ah,
were gonna see a Spire win.
I don't
And
know.
then he just blows it, and then oh man, and then I got really upset because of Bell's strategy just not working. I mean, he's never good at Michigan, so unfortunately wasn't the
No,
best time for him, but
it sadly wasn't gonna work
oh well.
this week, unfortunately. But it was a really good day for JGR though in the end because Hamlin ended up pulling it off. Was an interesting race. I mean, uh, unfortunately, as I mentioned last week, this was the only second race of the year where there were no open cars in the field. But still was able to put on a great show regardless with 36 entries in the field, all the full time drivers, and I mean, it ended up being a really good show, and I think how do I say this? And there was a lot of passing. I mean, I know it can be hard to pass with the next gen, but this is a track where it definitely can work. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I think we saw some really great passes going on throughout the field, and especially on the restarts. I mean, holy crap, the restarts were insane this week.
Yeah, there was a lot of really great restarts. Unfortunately though, Bell just not having some good
I
restarts,
know
and he
Bell's your
just
guy.
not a good week, but that's okay because we got the road course, brand new course to the
Mexico
NASCAR
City.
schedule. Really excited for about this. Let's go over the five. I guess it's my new segment.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over who's hot, who are we avoiding, and who's the sleeper. So let's talk about the hot picks. First one, it's got to be SVG. You can't talk about a road course without talking about
No.
SVG. Of course, he won the Chicago Street Course race, and he's a road course guy. Same thing with AJ Allmendinger. Those two are always going to be obvious road course guys. Instead of talking about Chase Elliott, let's talk about Tyler Reddick. So he's won 3 times in the next gen car on road courses. He has led the most laps out of anyone on next gen road courses. He's led over 200. And he is tied for the most, I believe, with Chase Elliott for the most road course stage wins, and he's got 4. So
Yeah, that's
Reddick, of
correct.
course, that's what I thought. So of course, we're looking for
Give me a
AJ, we're looking for SVG. Sure thing, yeah.
just got to pull up my plug, but that's fine. But I think that those are definitely some picks that we definitely are going to have to consider because Reddick knows how to get it done on these road courses.
For
And
sure.
I mean, look at his performance at Coda from 2023. Oh my God, that was one of the greatest performances I've seen out of a driver. Like,
And let's talk about who to avoid. Who's not going to do well? Let's start it out with the guy who beat your favorite driver because he sucks on road courses. He has only finished top 10
uh,
once. in a next-gen road course race.
I'd hold your horses on this one because
You think
he
so?
may not even be driving this week. And did if you saw the
That's right.
news, he
His
may
fiance might be
we
having a baby this
we
weekend.
got to talk about that as well before we get into that. Denny Hamlin earlier today on a show with Shannon Spako was talking about how if he does if the baby if the son isn't born, he's not going to be driving. So and that would result in I believe they said Ryan Truex is going to get behind the wheel of
Ryan
the
Truex.
number 11 this
Wow.
week. So
Now would
Ryan
that be
Truex,
his Cup debut?
no, he ran full time about a decade ago for BK Racing in the '83.
Gotcha.
He ran that '83 car then. Also made starts for H. Scott the prior year, and also James Finch, I'm pretty sure as well. So he
Okay.
definitely. So this isn't going to be his first, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be his first in the next gen.
Yeah, probably if it's been that long. Yeah, but hey, still, we'll see what happens with Denny. I mean, just not a great road course racer in general. I think someone else to avoid this week is also going to be someone who's just been a really bad driver this year, and it's Brad Keselowski, who just can't race on road courses to save his life. Out of his last 24 starts on RCs, he's finished in the top 10 once, never got a single win on anything. Brad is someone who's just never had success, and that's okay. It's like Martin Truex Jr. on super speedways. It's a kind of course that you just driver just can't do well on, and that's
Nope.
okay. And the sleeper, this is gonna come as a huge shock for me, but I've chosen this sleeper for this. It could actually be Chris Buescher.
Ooh.
So in his last 17 road course races, he's finished in the top 10 15 times. Of course, he's the defending Watkins Glen winner. And this is a crazy fact that I learned over the week. He has the best average finish of the entire field on next gen road courses. Not
Wow.
AJ, not SVG, not Larson, not Elliott, not Reddick. Chris Buescher
Yeah.
has the best average finish of the entire field on next gen road courses. So let's talk about him. He's been bad fast. He was bad fast in Michigan. I'm really curious if this is gonna work. This is a race course that I'm trying to even think if anyone's ever raced on this because the last time we did it was what '09 in Xfinity.
I think 2008. I could be wrong.
Okay, it was something in the late 2000s.
Denny Hamlin is one of the winners. He was one of the I think he won it in 2006 in Xfinity, 2000
Okay, so
sometime
he
around
won
then.
in
So,
Xfinity. Yeah,
but again, we also have to remember, is he even going to be racing?
that's a good question. That's also almost 20 years ago. He's racing a brand new car.
Yep.
I
And
don't know
it's
how
a
this weekend's
different
gonna go.
layout. It's a slightly
Is it okay?
they're running a slightly different layout from they're running it like it's a slightly different layout than Formula 1, but we'll see.
Okay.
And I mean, kind of also want to mention uh it's in the pinned comments, but and I do apologize to interrupt in the middle of this, but I do want to pay tribute to Travis Carter, who passed away this morning at the age of 75. Travis Carter, uh, he was a longtime crew chief for the Cup Series. He guided Cale Yarborough to uh, to his third consecutive championship. Won a title with Benny Parsons, a Daytona 500 with him. I think he won a 500 with Cale Yarborough as well. I could be wrong on that.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Also led Harry Gant through the '80s as his crew chief with the Hal Needham, Burt Reynolds team there. And I mean, then he ended up forming his own team with Jimmy Spencer, guys like Jimmy Spencer, Todd Bodine, Daryl Waltrip, uh, trying to think, Hideo Fukuyama briefly, Joe Nemechek, like plenty of other names. Also, the father of former ARCA and Xfinity Series driver Matt Carter.
Hmm.
Um, Travis, he was beloved by so many of his former employees that worked with him in racing. So I really wanted to take a moment to pay tribute to Travis Carter. He was beloved by so many. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. So I wanted to briefly pay tribute to him just now.
Yeah, 100% sure, but I did see it earlier. It was confirmed a couple of hours ago. So
Yeah. So
it is confirmed. It's real news. So we're good to talk about it now.
yeah, so it's unfortunate that this happened, and condolences to his wife Linda and the rest of his family as well on his
Absolutely.
passing. So, yep. I mean, it's something that I was definitely upset to see. I saw tributes pouring in from various former drivers. Kenny Wallace, I know, paid tribute. Brian Keselowski, he gave an interesting story about how Travis gave Brian and K Automotive Motorsports their shop in 2010, and when they made the Daytona 500 in 2011, uh, Travis was so happy, as this was the story Brian was telling earlier. Brian was so happy to see this come out and then make the field, because that 92, they were the slowest car, I think, in practice, and they ended up
Could have
going
been,
up,
yeah.
and Brian ended up going up to qualifying, I think, like top 10 or top 12 in the Daytona 500. Like, it really was one of the biggest Cinderella stories, and it wouldn't have been possible if Travis Carter didn't lend Brian his shop. I wouldn't believe so. So, like, it's really amazing how this ended up coming out and all, and how that ended up happening. So, just a great story that I saw there. And I mean, Travis, I know he also gave some great stories over on Dale Jr. Download, Scene Vault as well recently. So, like, Travis, he was such a great guy to work with in the sport, and it's really upsetting to see him go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to also get into some of the other things from Michigan. So, like, Alex Bowman, he took a really hard hit, and
Yeah,
yeah, that was
that was concerning. I
Bowman.
thought that he was honestly going to have a back injury from that. That was a very similar crash to what Eric Jones sustained at Talladega last year,
Yeah.
and he hit head on and got two wheels off the ground. That car was wrecked. The only reason he probably avoided that is because it was during the restart lap. If it would have been one lap later when they were like all back up to speed, that probably could have gone so much worse. But it was good to
Yeah.
see Alex. Now, I will say it was good to get out of that car. But something just seemed off on his interview. It reminds me of when Noah Gragson wrecked at Gateway a couple of years ago, where you could just tell after he took that big hit that just something was off on his interview. Alex didn't really seem to be thinking straight and talking straight, so I
Well,
wonder if he's going to go on some sort of going to have some further testing done, have some sort of concussion protocol,
well,
because I'm honestly a little worried for
well.
Alex after the
This
hit he
morning,
took.
well, apologize to interrupt. This morning, Jeff Gordon was also, I think, on that same show that Denny Hamlin was on. Jeff Gordon was saying that Bowman did feel very sore from that accident, but that he is
Mm.
still cleared and okay to race, from my
Okay,
understanding.
good. Yeah.
That's what Jeff Gordon was talking about this morning on that same show I believe Denny Hamlin was on. So Alex Bowman, he will be racing this weekend. I know Cole Custer also got taken out in that accident. Chase Briscoe is damaged in that wreck too.
Yeah.
Suarez as well. Like, I mean, I know also later John Hunter Nemechek, he also wrecked out of the race. Todd Gilliland, can't forget about that wreck he took. That was a hard hit as well.
Yeah, he went driver's side first, right into that wall, and
Yeah, that was a bad hit as
that was a
well.
big hit. Seems
Yeah,
like he's doing all right though,
he's all.
luckily. So
It did take a while though for him to go to the infield care center apparently, but seems like everything is all right there with Todd. And
yeah,
and just thank goodness for safer barriers. Like, I know
yeah,
they've been
really,
around. They've been around for over 2 decades, but they've been saving so many lives in this sport, and it really has. And the test again has been proven this week at Michigan. I mean, there was a really hard hit in the truck race too. We'll get to the truck race in a little bit as well, but Morgan Baird, I think it was, the Michigan local driver. He took a really hard hit in that race. I think it was that, and thank goodness for those safer barriers again. I know they had to repair the safer barriers from that wreck, which you have to repair them in any scenario. NASCAR doesn't want to risk anyone hitting a concrete wall, if the safer especially if the safer barriers are broken in that case.
yeah. There's Briscoe though. You mentioned Briscoe. It's just crazy how fast he's been. He's been really good at his average start is 12 something, I believe, and he's
something like
obviously had
that.
the three like recent poles. Really, really great work from him. He had a really rough first 5 races of the season. Did okay at Homestead, Martinsville, and Bristol. He's gotten a fair bit of top fives on the season. He's gotten top fives in like a
Yeah,
third of the races. So he's been bad fast on the track. He's been bad fast during qualifying. Briscoe is honestly probably the most underrated driver on the circuit right now. It just sucks
I'm
that
gonna
he's been
agree.
involved. He's been involved in 2 crashes. He wrecked at Phoenix
I think you're
and
right.
at Texas, I believe. Other
Yeah.
than that, he's completed every single lap.
He
And
was involved in that wreck last week, but he did get back on the lead lap, if I'm not
he did,
mistaken.
yeah. Yeah. Besides his wreck at Phoenix and Texas, Briscoe has finished every single lap, which has been really good to see. He's gotten that good amount of top fives. He's gotten those 4 poles, and he currently sits, I believe, 11th in points right now. So
Yeah,
definitely not too bad. I mean, that 19 has always been kind of a weird car. I mean, Truex obviously had some good success in that. Suarez hopped in there, didn't really have anything going for him, but it's good to see that Briscoe is kind of doing okay. And let's give him a couple years. He's still only what 31 years old. Like he's got plenty of time. We got guys that are in their prime, in their early 40s. And Briscoe's got plenty of time to succeed.
so I think with Briscoe, I mean, I want to also think about the crew chief side of things. So, like, James Small, he can build a fast car. That's been
For
proven.
sure.
But strategy wise and long run, something might need to change there. Like, because a lot of people have really been questioning James Small's decisions over the past few years. And, like, and this was with Martin Truex Jr., like, as well. Like, people were like, why are you making this call? Like, what's going on here? Like, same thing. It really has seemed to happen again this year. Like I feel like maybe James Small is better off in the role he had before. I think he was like an engineer or something like that. Like I think that maybe for Briscoe he's gonna need some more, maybe someone else to lead on the pit box that can help throughout the race. Like it's just something to think about. I mean, like I'm kind of curious as to why they didn't bring over his crew chief from Stuart Haas, who was a really good pairing with him and Richard Boswell. But I
Yeah,
mean,
that was a bit of a strange move.
yeah, that was kind of strange because Richard and Briscoe they were a really good pairing. Richard I know is now with Austin Dillon on the 3 car, which and even then I've noticed some improvement on that 3 car, which might be because of Richard Boswell being on the pit box. So like I'm curious as to what's going on there. And then what was I gonna say? In terms of strategy, I definitely want to think about something that a lot of fans have been screaming about recently regarding Chase Elliott. A lot of people are seeming to be fed up with Alan Gustafson lately on the 9
I've
pit
seen that
box.
as well, yes.
Are they valid? I don't know, to be honest. Like, are the complaints
Yeah,
valid here?
yeah, they are. I don't know what's been going on with Chase Elliott. I watched Jared's video on that. He made a good video
Iceberg?
on it. Yeah, Jared Lundberg made a video on it last week, and he had a lot of good stuff to say about it. Chase Elliott has just been something's going on this year with him. He's barely been up front. He's got a few.
He's still top
But
10 in points, though, right?
he's top 5 in points,
Oh,
which
top
is
5.
really, really weird. Not playoff standings, but like just points, which is
Full
really
season
weird.
points.
Yeah, full season points, and it's because although he only has 3 top fives and he only has 1 more top 10 than Briscoe, his average finish is 11.
That's
So
incredible.
he's like just on the outside of this like top 5, top 10 kind of thing. And he's also finished every lap but one. He finished a lap down at Bristol. Other than that, he has finished every single lap this season, but he's just not been out front.
No,
He's just been kind of the sleeper guy. He's been just staying in the back the whole time, driving up, and he's finishing, in the mid-teens, and he's had a few top 5 finishes. But he's been finishing not so great, but he's been finishing not so great consistently, and that's bumping his average finish up to 11. So very, very solid. Elliot's been doing really great, of course. We just need to see him. If he
Win
really
again.
wants to prove himself, he needs to actually win and needs to get up there. He's led less than 100 laps this year. He's just not been out front.
And he did get to
But
the front at Michigan, and he did get
he,
to the
yeah,
front at he did at Kansas as well. But I think what's hurting him is his crew. But again, I think we talked as I mentioned this. Alan Gustafson might need to make a crew chief change here. Like I'm not
for
like
sure.
I don't know if you need to make I don't know if you need to call anyone up from Xfinity, but and I don't know. I don't think Hendricks ever did. Hendricks swap Byron and Knaus mid-year. Did 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 it
I don't
was?
know. That's a good question.
I don't think they made that swap mid-year. But could Rick Hendrick make a decision here where he maybe makes a crew chief swap in the middle of the season? Like, could
Mhm.
that happen here? Like, I don't think Rick Hendrick is someone who's going to do that. But maybe he swaps. Maybe Alex Bowman's crew chief, for example, and this has no base to it. There's no, I haven't heard anything about them doing this, but could they perhaps swap Blake Harris, perhaps, and Alan Gustafson, and put Gustafson with Alex Bowman and Blake Harris with Chase Elliott? Could maybe they do something like that to try to boost their performance?
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I were in Hendrick's shoes, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that's the best thing they need is, Larson's obviously. It's funny because it's every single season. Byron starts off as like the clear favorite, and then he just drops off. He has a super strong first like 20% of the season, and then he's just never up front again. And Larson's of course been super consistent, but then Bowman and Elliott are just kind of those third and fourth Hendrick drivers, especially Bowman. We just talked about him in Michigan, but over his past 8-10 races, he's been abysmal. He's been in a couple wrecks. His average finishes in the low 20s or the high 20s. Like Bowman is just something's going on with him, and he's just not been able to get up there. He had a really strong start to the season, and people were the whole Bow mid allegations were starting to
Ah,
fall apart. But then lately, he has just been
he's
awful as a
on
lately, and it sucks
he's
to
on the
see
brink
because
of the playoffs. Like he's only like 13 points to the good last I checked.
yeah, he's not very far into that, which really sucks
No.
because like he's a talented driver and there's nothing really wrong with what he's doing.
Yeah, Bowman had a really strong start to the year. Like
He had a super strong start. Of course, he had that big battle with Larson at Homestead,
Homestead.
Miami. But then after Homestead, here I'm gonna pull this up. Here were his first six starts. Sixth, 26th, not too great, but he was in a wreck. Ninth, seventh, seventh, second. Incredible first six stars. Minus Atlanta, but that's super speedway.
Yeah.
Since then, he has finished 27th, 35th, 37th, 35th, 29th, 36th, 7th, 5th, and 36th. So few DNFs, few finishes in the 30s. He had the top five at Kansas, which was good. He finished seventh at Talladega, which is really good. But other than that, Bowman, something's going on with Alex Bowman, and it is not just a wreck issue; it's also a pure speed issue. I don't know what's going on with him, but I'm probably gonna check it up because he deserves a lot more than what he has. Like he's a great driver. Of course, he has been around a lot longer than people remembered, but I don't know. I want to see him as more than just the fourth Hendrick car. I want to see
Yeah.
him as someone who actually competes with
Yeah.
with people.
Now, now that's why I'm also not really. That's why I also don't really think a crew chief swap would make sense right now because they want to get Bowman into the playoffs. Why would you give him Alan Gustafson, who's made some questionable strategy calls lately? So like you then really risk that. So that's a bit of a count. I'm going to make a bit of a counterclaim to swapping Blake Harris and Alan Gustafson, or perhaps calling up Adam Wall, who is the crew chief on the number 17 on the Xfinity side of things. So that's why I'm not really keen yet on making a crew chief swap, but it's something that I feel maybe should be considered a little bit
Hmm.
in the Hendrick camp.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
something.
honestly, either way is
Oh,
good.
yeah. Also, Carson Hocevar. I mean, at the end, it was looking like he had a chance to win, but I know unfortunately he was going to run out of fuel no matter what. They think they said he was like 4 laps short, something like that.
I think it was, yeah, like 4 or 5,
Yeah.
and it
So
really sucked because again, I mean, I know we didn't necessarily have the, distance, but man, he
he
was bad
was.
fast, and that blew the tire, and it really just really, really sucked to see.
And something else of note, nobody has ever won a cup race that's from Michigan. Carson Hocevar would have been the first to ever do that.
Really?
Yeah,
I never knew that.
Brad Keselowski's never won a cup race at Michigan. So
Who
either
was also from Michigan?
Phil
Kulwicki was
Parsons,
Wisconsin, right?
Alan Kulwicki's Wisconsin. So like if this would
That's
have
what I
been
thought.
this would have been a really big win for Carson Hocevar had he been able to do it. But instead, you had Denny Hamlin putting up the Ohio letters when he because he's a big Ohio State fan when he was
Yeah.
in victory lane and on the front stretch. William Byron, he was also battling Byron. I mean, I think he's leading the regular season right now. He's still only got one win on the year. I mean, I think I mean I know Reddick only had like 2 wins going into his regular season title, but Byron, I mean, he's only got one win on the year and he's still leading the regular season. I'm curious if he's going to be able to get another win before that, but I think he will.
Who
We'll
knows?
just have to
I think
see
he
when it
will.
is.
I think he will. I think he's gonna have some good success, and
Because, yeah,
I don't know.
he's
He's just a super consistent driver, honestly.
yeah, he's been dominating a lot of these races, but just can't get it done in the end. Like he was dominating Darlington, got beat out by Bell on pit road, and Blaney, and then at what was the other one? And then at Charlotte, Chastain passes him with only a few to go. And now here, can't get it done again. Denny Hamlin beats him, and then he runs out of gas. And then
Yeah, it really sucks for him,
Chris
but
Buescher finishes in second this week. I know you were talking about
yeah,
Buescher, so
again,
he's riding in the
Busher,
momentum
yeah,
into
Busher's
Mexico
really
City.
great.
And Ty Gibbs finally has another good run as well. He gets third. So I'm happy for that camp because 54 going into this week, weren't they like 27th in points?
I think so. He's also just not been doing the greatest either. So
Yeah, I mean, I hope things can turn around there because I know Ty Gibbs, he made the playoffs last year, so he's got hope that camp can turn things around there on that side. I mean, Tyler Allen ended up making a great call this week but I mean, even then, like, definitely some interesting strategy calls at the end. I know there was someone that also was blowing up at the end that came onto pit road. They were having an issue. I believe it was
I'm
Michael
not
McDowell.
sure.
It was
It might
Michael
have been McDowell,
because
yeah.
McDowell came down. I know Austin Cindric also had an issue at the end. Uh, he had a tire go down, so definitely some interesting storylines. RFK, they also had all 3 cars top 10 this week, which was like the first time that 3 cars from RFK have been top 10 since I think 2016, when was the last time, which was the last time they had 3 full-time cars.
It might have been, yeah, because that's impressive considering how Keselowski's just not had the greatest year. So
Yeah,
how did they could do that?
he just barely made the seeding for the TNT tournament coming up in a few weeks. Which Denny Hamlin with his win, he's also locked into the into having a top 3 seed for the tournament. So
Okay. So
more of the seeding will happen there once we get to that point.
so do we want to explain how this in-season tournament works for the people who are unfamiliar with it?
I feel like we should explain that once we get to Atlanta, because once we
Okay.
preview Atlanta, because that's the first race of the tournament. So, also from this weekend was the Truck Series and the ARCA Series at Michigan. Uh, there were some interesting moments from both. I mean, I was Truck Series. That was a great race, minus all the accidents, because it dragged on for too long. And we talked about it last week. This race was on Main Fox instead of FS1, so you had a larger audience. Did cut into the Belmont Stakes a little bit because of how long it
Yeah.
went, but they were still able to get done in time. But over on Main Fox, I mean, you had a pretty decent. The racing was great. I mean, I remember towards the end, it was getting wild out there. It
I
was like the
don't think
top.
I caught any of it, honestly.
I think it. I know. I think it was like the top six. They were all battling really hard, and unfortunately, caution had to come out because there was debris from I think Lane Riggs or something like that. But at the end, it ended up being Stuart Friesen getting it done. So first
That's always
win.
been really interesting. Yeah, Stuart Friesen is just whenever I used to watch trucks in 2017, that's how I actually got my first liking of like Christopher Bell is because he was really good that year. But Stuart Friesen is such an interesting guy. He was someone who I always thought was like this incredible driver, and he's only won like 4 times. But it's good to see him. I mean, he's been in that Homer Friesen racing machine since 2017, and
Yeah,
I don't think he's missed a race since 2020.
yeah.
So he's just been good. He does his best, and it's good to see. I mean, he self owns his team, and he's a great
Runs.
modified driver
He
for
runs dirt
himself.
track.
But
He runs dirt tracks every week he can. Like sometimes he'll race 3 times a week. I mean, I think he's doing that this week with the Truck Series off. So, that's what I really love about Stewart. And of course, I'm gonna love Stewart because I'm a New York boy. I mean, Stewart Friesen. I
yeah,
mean, he was born in Canada, but he's lived in New York for most of his life. So of course, I'm gonna be happy about that. But Stewart, he ended up getting it done at the right time. I mean, there were many guys in contention for the win. I mean, it was pretty disappointing though to see that really big wreck at the end that took out many guys. Like so many trucks got involved in that wreck with on one of the last restarts. Gio Ruggiero, I know he was caught up. Corey Heim was caught up. Carson Hocevar. Well, Hocevar I think had another issue at the end of that truck race. Chastain I know was wrecked as well. Uh, Frankie Muniz was third on one of the last restarts because of that.
really
Unfortunately he missed a shift though. But he still ended up.
sucks.
I think he still finished top 15 though.
He
Some.
finished 14th.
Oh,
I
he
just
finished fourth.
looked it
Yeah,
up.
Frankie Muniz, and I mean, he also was carrying a big sponsor again, Morgan and Morgan. So nice to see them on the truck again this week. So for that, I mean, Corey LaJoy was also leading for a little bit at the on some of the last restarts. Jake Garcia was up there too. Ben Rhodes, they were up there. They weren't really in contention until the top guys got wrecked out. But Corey LaJoy, I mean, it was definitely interesting to see him contending in his first truck race in quite a while. I don't remember the last time LaJoy ran a truck race, but I know there. I think the last time he ran a truck race, no, he ran a for Spire in like 2 truck races last year, I think, or was it the year before that?
Let me see. I'm gonna
He
look
ran,
this up just so we.
yeah, because he ran the 7 truck, I think once or twice last year and the year before that.
That's what I thought. Yeah, his last one was the opener of the 2024
Yeah,
season.
Daytona. I know he ran Darlington the year before that and the season opener as well that year. And then before that, you'd have to
Right.
go back to 2014 when he ran the 92 truck for Ricky Benton, or in that truck, ran 2 races for them. So you have to go all the way back there for that. And then when you think about this whole deal, like Corey's, they're trying to get as many people as they can into the 7 and '07 trucks because it's been mostly Cup guys. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the I think Corey Day has a few more starts as well. I mean, the '07 truck, there's only like 3 more races left to be filled as far as if I can remember correctly. I know they got Thomas and Nunziata uh, in the truck at not Watkins Glen, Lime Rock, so that'll be interesting there. Um, Patrick Emmerling, I think, was supposed to run the truck this week, but apparently he's going to run it at another race. There's also been floating that JJ Yaley's going to do a truck race in the '07.
Has he made a truck start before?
No, JJ's made truck starts before.
Okay, I wasn't
He
sure.
has, but there's been talk apparently about JJ Yaley doing a truck race in that '07 truck. So we'll see what happens there. I think there was also a rumbling about potentially Adam Andretti also doing a road race.
I never even heard of this guy. I didn't even know
He
this
runs
was
in
available.
Trans Am.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. He's only made a couple of starts in
Trans Am.
NASCAR's Canada Series, so
Oh, Adam
yeah.
Andretti. Yeah. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen there on the truck side of things. But now, Thor Sport. Ty Majeski is like the only guy barely in the playoffs. So because of that win from Stewart, that shakes things up a lot because Majeski, last year's champion, if we get in some more obscure winners from towards the bottom of the grid, he could be out. And Dort
Yeah.
and that wouldn't be good for the defending champion of the series. And I mean Jake Garcia also gets knocked out because of that win from Friesen. And then you have Ben Rhodes and Matt Craft, and they're currently out. Luke Fenhouse, I want to give him a shout out because I think he finished third,
Oh wow.
somewhere around there.
Believe
He won the
believe we saw
pole.
him believe we saw him win at
No, he
Dover,
didn't win Dover. That
right?
was Jake Finch.
No, I could are you sure? I could have sworn
No,
Luke Fenhouse won when we went to Dover.
no,
Okay.
it was Jake Finch.
Okay.
Fenhouse was getting up there at the end of that race, though. I mean,
Okay.
but it was Jake Finch. But Fenhouse, he won the pole this week. Really nice to see him win the pole in that fifth ThorSport truck. But yeah, there were some other storylines. Unfortunately, Norm Benning pulled off really early. That sucked. I think he finished last. But Corey Heim, I know he also got screwed again. I mean, Corey Heim, he's led the most laps all year. He keeps getting screwed. I hate that for him. And then as
What happened to Norm? What kind of problem did he
I
have?
don't remember. I think he was just I don't remember. I'd have to go back again. But I know also there was the ARCA race this week. They had the most cars at Michigan in a while. Butterbean ended up taking the win, so that was nice to see. Corey Heim also was substituting for Jake Finch, who was under the weather. Corey Heim, he almost took the win at the end from Butterbean there at the end of that ARCA race. But Butterbean got it done again. Only problem is there's no Waffle Houses in Michigan. So closest he could have gone was going across the state border to Toledo, I guess. So unfortunately, he couldn't have celebrated at Waffle House with a win like he enjoys doing. And that's what I love about Butterbean. And this week going into Berlin, we'll talk about that later. Uh, Butterbean is going to have a lot of momentum because he's a short track guy. He's the defending champion in Cars Tour. I think he won.
Okay.
I think he won back to back. I could be wrong. I
I
could
don't
be
know.
wrong
Racing
on that.
Reference stopped updating Cars Store after 2022, so I
Use
can't
the
even
third
like look.
turn. Go use the third turn. They're
Okay.
a lot better. I'm just going to say that to the people watching as well. The third turn, they do a lot better. And I know one of my friends also helps with that website. I'm going to shout Time Card. I want to give you a shout out. You do really good helping them out. So I think also with Butterbean, he's got a lot of momentum. And he was also battling hard with Gio Ruggiero, who also was running into 18 this week. Unfortunately, they made some really bad contact on like that last restart, and as a result, Butterbean ended up taking the win. Ruggiero fell back a little bit. Heim ended up finishing second. I mean, I want to give a shout out to some other people that were in the race. Regina Servent, she made her debut. Uh, from Mexico. We talked about it last week. I know she finished a few laps down, but she did what she needed to do for her first race. Kept it clean and ran all the laps. And same with Eloy Falcon. I love that name. Eloy Falcon, Sebastian
Yeah,
Lopez.
what's the better name, Eloy Falcon or Butterbean? That's the real
I don't
question.
know, to be honest, but I want to give a shout out to Eloy Falcon. He ended up getting a free pass at the end. Want to shout out Jason Kitzmiller as well. He had a really good race as well. Unfortunately, while Isabella Robusto's luck finally caught up to her and she did finish a race, she didn't really get the finish she wanted. She fell back to like eighth or ninth, I think, by the end after starting on the front row. Think some of the think some trying to think of some of where some of the other guys finished. Lamar Scott, I think he finished top five. So curious to see what happens going into next week. Lawless Sound, he had another good run. Um, I'm curious to see what happens going into Berlin. We'll get into the races in a bit. But I want to also talk about one of the big things about Michigan and the state of Michigan. Ram is back.
It is. That commercial was really cool. You sent me. I didn't realize it until you sent me that just like preview, which was some grainy image of the 25 truck or whatever. But
Yeah,
I'm really glad that we're getting that finally. I swear they've been talking about a new manufacturer for like 4 years now.
they weren't lying, I guess. I mean, I know Steve Phelps had to reaffirm that I'm not lying when we talk about new manufacturers, but he must not have been lying this whole time about new manufacturers because now Ram is back. They're going to be in the Truck Series next year. And Stellantis, I mean, looks like they're looking to have one of their brands in Cup in a few years. I think they said the earliest would be like 2027 for that. But for now, we got Ram in the Truck Series for next year, uh, which is basically Dodge because they're both owned by Stellantis, but it's separate. But for next year, I'm curious what's going to happen. I know there's been the talk about Cletus McFarland potentially being part of that. I don't know if that would be in a full time capacity, part time. I don't know if he'd be driving or if he'd be like a part of a team involved. So I'm curious what happens with that. There's been floating about GMS building being like their main chassis builder. Uh, I know we talked about it. I think me and you have talked about how Spencer Gallagher's been racing again, potentially to get experience again, because there's been rumors he's going to be one of the Dodge driver, or excuse me, Ram drivers. So I'm curious what happens with Spencer Gallagher there and GMS. There's been talk about Nice potentially going over to Ram. Also talk
Oh,
about
really?
yeah,
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, and there's also talk about Rhett Jones Racing also potentially moving up to trucks again. And I mean, I think that Rhett Jones, they definitely are seriously looking into it if you think about it. I mean, look at who they hired. Greg Zipadelli. Greg
Yeah, that was a
Zipadelli,
good pickup.
yeah, he previously was with Stuart Haas, I think, right? I think he was previously wasn't he the competition director at Stuart Haas previously?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so they're serious about racing, and I know they've only run a few ARCA races this year with Cletus, but they're full time now over in the Euro Series with Gil Linster and I think Loris Heseman's brother. I forget his name.
That's his brother's name.
His brother,
Liam. Yeah.
Liam Hesemans, is his brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Liam is his brother. So both of them are full time in the Euro Series. So Rhett Jones, they Mark Rhett, he loves racing wherever he can. So like I know they run in the ASA Stars too, which they're racing this weekend as well. They have Kyle Steckley full time for them, the son of uh, Canada Series champion, multi champion, Scott Steckley. So
Mhm.
name recognition there. So Kyle, I know, is supposed to run some more ARCA races this year. Cletus McFarland, I know he's got Bristol again for another ARCA start. So I mean, Rhett Jones, I think that they definitely could be part of this. And then I know over on Door Bumper Clear, Freddie Kraft mentioned Thor Sport, but I feel that may have been a joke because Freddie was talking about how Thor Sport seems to switch manufacturers like every 2 to 3 years, like all the time. Like they were they were with Toyota. They then went to Ford in 2018. Then they switched back to Toyota. I want to say 2021, sometime around then. 2020, sometime
Sure.
around then. Thor Sport went back to Toyota. Then in I think 2023 they went back to Ford, and they're still with Ford now. So I'm curious about that. I don't think Ford's going to want to lose Thorsford because then all they're going to have is Rayome and Front Row Motorsports in their truck program. So I don't know if what's going to happen there. I know Ram and Stellantis, as part of their announcement, said that they want to have at least around 4 to 6 trucks at Daytona next year. So I'm curious about what what could happen there. But I don't know if GMS would make the switch. I mean, I know Freddie Kraft over on Door Bumper Clear also said that the talk of that has kind of dimmed down a little bit about GMS running Ram, and I think it's just big for this to be happening because it should. I mean, it honestly should shut up all the people who say NASCAR's dying. If we're getting a new manufacturer involved, it should shut up those people. I know it's one that we've had before, but it should shut up those people.
I
And
agree. Yeah. Something this is so random that just came to me, but I was at the grocery store today, and there was a dude with a Jonathan Davenport shirt on, and I was thinking, what happened to that guy? He made the one start for colleague,
He still
and
runs
he's
dirt,
just kind of gone now. I figured he still ran Lucas Oil Dirt, yeah,
and he's
but
still winning.
oh, I
He's
know, I saw that he won a couple weeks ago. I was
yeah,
just wondering if he's.
I think he.
I of course love when for the open cars they bring in road course ringers, but I want to see some dirt ringers. I want to see some guys
This
that have a
makes me
legitimate chance.
this makes me wish we still had Bristol Dirt in Cup
I
again.
know.
I mean like I know that I know we had like one of the greatest NASCAR races of all time last year on the concrete again at Bristol, but God, I wish we were still doing Bristol Dirt or get them dirt somewhere. Like I know Tony Stewart won't let them do Eldora, and I know Knoxville's too small. But if we're gonna have dirt and cup, just do Bristol Dirt. I don't care. Just do it. Like, I know all the boomers are gonna
Yeah.
hate us both for wanting Bristol Dirt back, but I mean, Chase Briscoe was saying he wanted Bristol Dirt back. I think Todd Gilliland also was advocating for it. Come on, give us Bristol Dirt again. I know people aren't gonna like that me and you are advocating for that, but I want it again. I hope you're listening to us, Marcus Smith.
It would be really nice. The problem is though with most, and it really sucks because most dirt tracks you're just not gonna get enough room. There's so many
No.
good dirt tracks that you're just not gonna have enough room for these cars. The only one that you could realistically have is Bristol Dirt. And speaking of Bristol Motor Speedway, by the way, um, reminder that in a little less than 2 months, on August 2nd, we are getting the Speedway Classic
Yeah. I'm
at
excited for
Bristol. We're gonna have
that.
a Braves and Reds game. Are gonna I don't know how they're doing it, but they're gonna be playing on the infield of
Yeah.
Bristol
They're playing on
Motor
the
Speedway,
infield. That's gonna be a lot of
which
fun.
it's gonna be the greatest. I'm gonna tell you why. It's because a track like Bristol, where it's a coliseum, that is going to be the coolest possible setting for a baseball game. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to take a look at that and watch that.
I'm looking forward to that as well. So going on to I mean with Dodge and Ram again, like I know Adam Stern also mentioned that there was another manufacturer that they were talking about, which he mentioned I believe was Honda. I'm I'm curious if that's gonna happen because I know Honda, there's been the talk about them being unhappy with IndyCar. They may try to leave uh IndyCar. If they do leave IndyCar, that leaves them with only Chevy. They're screwed if that happens.
Yeah,
But
that
which
would.
I hope that doesn't happen. I want IndyCar to thrive, but if that happens, Honda probably would join NASCAR in return, if I had to guess. And I know we were kind of going on about this, but I do want to now get into the whole lawsuit news with well, not law.
Let's hear it.
This is not the lawsuit, but it's the preliminary injunction that has been overturned by an appeals court. So I think based off of the ruling, what they were kind of trying to say was you have your cake, you eat it too. And this is with 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, who they won a ruling from a local federal judge in North Carolina where they were allowed, and the judge in that case ruled you guys can race chartered for a year until the lawsuit happens and the trial happens in December of this year. So, but the federal appeals court, because NASCAR appealed the decision, didn't seem to be that happy about it because they were saying they kind of were saying you're benefiting from a system that you're suing over. So, should we really be earning revenue for this? Which I hate it for the teams, but from a legal standpoint, it makes some sense, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
a
yeah.
legal standpoint. And these judges have no, probably don't really watch NASCAR. So, like, I mean, it's definitely something to think about here because from a legal standpoint, it would make sense because like you have your cake, you eat it too. If you're suing the system, then you can't really. you shouldn't really be benefiting from it at the same time simultaneously. Like you're giving into it. So like I kind of see where that ruling comes from. Do I support the decision personally? No, because I mean, I personally feel 2311 and Front Row should be chartered until the lawsuit happens. Then whatever happens with that can happen. It should be noted that the judges in the hearings for the appeal did kind of indicate that the lawsuit seems to be very strong. So I'm not concerned for 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. I'm not concerned for the two teams. And even then, until then, they both they both have owners that have deep pockets. Like Bob Jenkins, he's the owner of Long John Silver's. He's got a net worth of I think like over 30 million. So like he's got the pockets. Same with Michael Jordan, billions of dollars on his hands. Denny Hamlin, I think he has a net worth of like over 60 million. They got the pockets to stay in power for the rest of the season, even if they're going to be open teams. I think they said it would be after Pocono.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, you got Michael Jordan. He's like, of
he's a
course he's gonna be deep
billionaire.
in pockets.
Of
Who
course,
knows how rich that guy is? But
he's a
yeah, it's good
billionaire. I
whenever you
think.
have teams like that. It does suck though. I really thought, when the next gen era was a thing, and like really just becoming into it, there were guys like Floyd Mayweather took up the team for the money team, and Pitbull took on Trackhouse. I just couldn't believe that you had guys like Floyd Mayweather, Pitbull that were part owner of these NASCAR teams, and then they ran like garbage.
Well, I mean, well,
Trackhouse no, but like Trackhouse could have ran better, and they ran really well in
Pitbull
2022.
was
It's just
never
not been as
really.
great.
Well, the thing is, Pitbull was never part of the decisions. He was only just a brand ambassador. He his stake was then bought out by investors, such as I think
Yeah.
Alex Lazary, who owns like the Milwaukee. I think it's the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA. I think.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, he owns that team. He's one of the owners of that team. So now I'm pretty sure he's one of the stakeholders there. So something to consider. Um, but I and the money team is now basically they're the same exact team. William Moody and Casey Cottle. It's the exact same team, just no Floyd Mayweather. It's literally like Team America is literally the exact same team, just without Floyd Mayweather. Everyone that was there prior is there. So like I think that with the preliminary injunction, I know people are thinking that NASCAR is going to settle with the teams, or the teams are going to come to an out of court settlement. I don't think that that's going to happen personally. Like, I don't know if
Really.
you feel the same way. Like, I don't,
It's tough because I don't know how willing they would be, honestly. So
yeah, because
that's bold. We'll have to wait on that.
remember, Steve Phelps in past interviews has said we're not changing any terms in the charter system no matter what. So, like, Denny Hamlin sued mostly to change the terms, if you
Yeah.
think about it. So like, I don't think he's gonna settle. Uh, like I don't think Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, Bob Jenkins, I don't think they're willing to settle on this. And I mean, it's definitely something that is going to be looked at in the next few months. But I think that because the teams once we get to Chicago, because Pocono's the last race I believe that they will race charter, and they can appeal the appeal. I think they are going
Yeah.
to, but we'll see what happens. I know Denny Hamlin on Actions Detrimental also said, I don't think we're still going to run the team the exact same way, no matter what, if we're open or not. So, like, because NASCAR now does allow the teams to sue while open teams. That previously wasn't allowed. I mean, I know when I was listening to Action Detrimental, Denny Hamlin also brought up how the team was originally going to be called 611 Racing, which that makes no sense. That would not have been a good name. Yeah, he brought it up
Or
on Actions Detrimental.
they should have had George Bush invest into it and call it something else.
No, 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 no. You can't. No, no, dude, no. That would not have worked. But
Hey partner, I want to invest in your racing team.
that would not have worked. That would not have worked. But I mean, 611 Racing was the original name, according to Denny Hamlin on Actions Detrimental. That would not have worked the same way 2311 does. I mean,
sounds
20.
better. Also, 611 just sounds kind of weird. It sounds like so obviously 911's like emergency, like 811 is like pipes below this like below the ground. It just sounds like a three-letter like line that you call for something. Like 611 would be like the line that you like report UFOs or whatever. Like
Yeah,
23XI just sounds great. I like that they incorporate a standard number and then a Roman
yeah,
numeral, and then it's it works really well. The team name goes so hard, and I like that they're actually like good too. It's nice to
yeah.
see a new team
Well, they're
like
not new
them.
now.
They've been around for a few years now, but I mean, one of the newer teams that runs full time,
Yeah,
and I'm really glad to just see that success, especially from Tyler Reddick,
Tyler
because I
Reddick
always
and
liked him.
Bubba
I
Wallace as
always liked
well.
him, and then Wallace is doing really
This is his.
great
This
this
has
year
been his
too.
best year by far for the
Yeah,
team.
no doubt, no
This has been
doubt.
his best season. He's like, I think, top 10 in points. I think.
He is, yeah, like ninth or tenth,
Yeah, this has
floating
been,
around there.
and I think we talked about it last week, but I think it all comes down to Charles Denike's leadership again. So I think with the lawsuit, I'm not really concerned. I mean, because I don't really see sponsors backing out, although some sponsors could perhaps leave, but I don't think any would leave mid-year because then that could open another can of worms. Uh, because then 2311 and Front Row could then potentially sue sponsors that leave mid-year.
That
Although,
just makes
yeah,
a
that would
really tricky situation.
Yeah, that would just open up another can of worms. So like I don't really see any teams backing any excuse me sponsors with either of those teams backing out of their existing deals. Even if they have clauses that say they have to sponsor a chartered car, but I don't know if that's really what's going to be. I don't think that McDonald's would leave mid-year. That's something I
No,
don't see
there's no way
happening.
they would.
I don't see
There's
that
no way.
happening. But like because then again they risk getting sued by 2311 themselves. So like
Yeah.
I know drivers also have clauses in their contracts. Tyler Reddick does in his contract that he has to drive for a chartered car. I think Bubba Wallace has it in his contract too. Riley Herbst I
Mhm.
know has it as well. Noah Gregson as well. I don't know if Todd Gilliland or Zane Smith have it in their contracts, but they have in their contracts that they have to race a chartered car. But again, I don't see them leaving mid-year. I don't even see them leaving after this year. And I want to get into silly season a little bit because there were some nuggets that I saw that came up regarding silly season. Silly season is not going to be big this year in Cup. There is a
No,
legitimate
not at all.
chance. There is a legitimate chance that all 36 drivers full time in Cup right now could be in the exact same teams next year. There is a legitimate chance.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that's like for sure gonna happen. Hendrick and Gibbs and Penske are obviously not gonna
They're
switch around
they're
their
all
lineup.
locked in.
The only thing that I could see, really, the only realistic one is Suarez getting the boot out of the 99.
Yeah,
But I know
there's one
Heim,
more
right?
to consider.
Heim Heim is signing as a Trackhouse development, right?
That was never a thing. I don't know where you heard
I
that from.
who Oh my
Connor
god.
Zilish. Is it? Are you talking about Connor Zilish? Well, Connor Zilish would be the driver who would
Could have been.
get the call if Suarez were to be taken out of the 99. I know Freddie Kraft a while back said something about how SVG could also perhaps instead get released from the 88 because of his performance this year, but I don't know about that. I mean, I feel
The thing
SVG deserves another year. I honestly don't think
Yeah.
Zilish. I honestly don't think Zilish should actually uh, be promoted yet. This is his first year in
No.
Xfinity.
No, no, no.
Trackhouse would
Here's
be
the thing.
silly.
Zilich is different than any prospect. Like he was ranked number one prospect.
He's still my number one prospect right now.
Well,
You,
yes, but he was whenever um
Bob
they
Pockris
put out
did
their list. Yeah, Pockrass releases his is either top 20 or top 25 prospects in the NASCAR system every year. And Zilich was second last year. Sawalich was first last year, but he dropped a second, and now Zilich is the number one prospect in NASCAR right now, according to the top 25 prospect list. This is not your normal everyday number one
yeah,
prospect. He needs to be treated gently. He needs time.
yeah,
He cannot be rushed. This dude can legitimately become Kyle Larson if
yeah.
he's just given
They cannot move him up
enough
to
time.
Cup next year.
He's I don't even think he's 19. Is he 19 yet? Maybe he
I
just
think
turned
he
19.
is. I think he is. I'm
He
not
maybe he
100%
just turned
sure.
19.
I think he
But
is.
okay.
But
But
you
Zilich
can't mess him
is
up.
you cannot mess Zilich up. But here's the thing with SVG and him getting moved or getting cut from the 88. He was signed on from Trackhouse knowing that he's only going to perform well at road courses. We know he's not a contender at ovals. SVG is abysmal at ovals, and that's okay. He is a pure road racer, and that's what we knew about whenever he moved from supercars to NASCAR, is that he's only going to be good for road courses. So to me, Trackhouse cutting him would just be really dumb because that's what he was signed on for in the first place. He was not signed out to be this consistent driver. He was signed on so that he could get wins at road courses and sneak his way into the playoffs with a road course win. That
Now
was the
he
only
has
reason why.
now he has shown some improvement on some ovals. Like I think he had a decent run at Michigan. I could be wrong. And I think he had a good run at Charlotte and Nashville, but I think he has started to improve a little bit, but he's still got to give it more for sure. And
He's only a rookie. Like
one
let the
more,
guy
yeah,
run.
I'm sorry, just that we're going a little faster now, but one more thing to also consider is the whole Legacy Rick Ware Racing lawsuit.
Mhm.
Because if Legacy Motor Club wins that lawsuit, they get a charter from Rick Ware Racing, and Rick Ware Racing, because they're supposed to lease the current charter, they're supposed to lease the current charter that Cody Ware has to RFK next year. Rick Ware Racing would be left with no charter, would not have a chartered car next year.
Yeah, that's a really crazy thing that's been
Yeah,
happening, and I've been following up on that more than I have actually 23XI. So
yeah. So I'm really curious what happens with the Legacy Motor Club uh, Rick Ware lawsuit, because if Legacy wins, they get a third car, and there's talk apparently, Bob Pockers hinted at this, that Jesse Love could become that third Legacy Motor Club driver.
really,
Yeah,
okay,
I was going to mention it to you before we went live on this, but Jesse Love, that would be an interesting fit because
yeah, that would be.
but I could see it because I mean he brings money. I mean he has C4 Energy, which is a pretty big energy drink company now. Samsara as well have been supporting him. Whelan is not affiliated with Love. That's a R- Richard Childress
Yeah,
exclusive
it's an SU
sponsor.
thing. Yeah, because what's
Yeah,
his name? Creed was running that car. So
yeah. That's a Richard Childress only sponsor. Love, I know, also has homesmiles.com, and I think he has one more that's tied to him, but I don't 100% remember what it is. But Jesse Love, that wouldn't really be a bad pick. I know from my understanding he's under like a 3-year deal with RCR, which runs through next year because this is his second year in
the end
Xfinity.
of next year, yeah.
But this would be a really big steal from RCR if Legacy Motor Club were to pick up Jesse Love. Because like Richard Childress stole him from Toyota. In this case, Toyota would be getting him back. So like this would be a really big steal if Legacy Motor Club were to take on Jesse Love. Because I know RCR apparently wants him in Cup, like replacing either Kyle Busch or Austin Dillon in the future. When will that be? I don't know. Kyle Busch, I know, wants to race long term for RCR, it appears. Like, it appears he's going to be set at RCR for long term, not just for next year, but we'll see what happens there. But if Austin Dillon retires after next year or whenever he retires, RCR probably had Jesse Love in mind or Austin Hill in mind for that seat. So like,
Hmm.
but you also have to consider if RCR were to get a third charter, which right now it seems like Legacy Motor Club would beat them at their game for that, though.
Yeah. No, this
So
is another sticky situation like with the 23XI and
yeah,
FRM. It's just a whole lot of legal stuff that
yeah,
we'll definitely
it's
revisit more in the future.
yeah, and I want to kind of get into the races for next week quickly because I know we don't have a lot of more time. But Mexico City, there is an open car this week, only one. I kind of wish we had more than that because of how big of a race this is. This is the first international race for the Cup Series since I think either the 1950s or the 1960s, sometime around then. This is the first Cup race held outside the United States since then. I think it was in like Canada then. But now we're heading to Mexico City, as we mentioned earlier in the show. The only open car this week is Catherine Legg. And this is where I think we finally will see Catherine Legg really show what she can do. Because I know she was able to put on some great statistics when she ran road races in Xfinity for JD Motorsports. She ran like top 15, I think, in those cars then. So I hope Catherine Legg can have some good run, can have a good run. And then Xfinity, there's some interesting names in the field, like Andres Perez. He's running in the 91. He's from Mexico. Runs full time in trucks. Daniel Suarez. He's running in the 9. Ty Gibbs. He's running in the 19. Sage Karam. Nice to see him back in
I
Pennsylvania.
haven't heard in a couple of years. Jeez, I
Yeah,
didn't know Karam was back.
yeah. Sage Karam. He's in the 53. There's another guy from the Mexico series that's in the 35. I'd have to find his name again. Let me find his name. I think his name is like Ruben.
Ruben
Rube,
Garcia Jr. probably.
Ruben Ravello is the guy that's in the
Okay.
35. So I'm curious how that's going to go. Now, I think there's a few other names that we. I think there's a few other road ringers. Josh Balicki, he's in the number 14 for SS Greenlight. Alex LeBay, he's in the 07. So there's a few other road ringers in the field. There might be one or two more I'm missing, but it's all right. I think that for this though, I kind of wish we had some more ringers from Mexico in this because of how big of a race is. Because I think in 2005 there were like over like 10 road ringers
There were
from
a
Mexico
lot, yeah.
when they first came down. So I'm kind of a little disappointed, but again, there's also two Mexico Series races this week as well in conjunction at Mexico City. Friday, I believe there's one, and then I think another one on Saturday. I hope those get broadcasted on like Tubi, like how they've done, like how they did Arca East at Rockingham and the Wheeling race at North Wilkesboro. I kind of hope they broadcast these races on Tubi. I think they're going to be on YouTube though. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure,
But
honestly, being
I'm
honest.
definitely going to be trying to tune in if I can to the Mexico Series races because I'm interested in those. I don't think anyone from above is leeching in them though. And
Probably not.
there's also the Arca Menard series. They're going to Berlin. They have 24 cars entered. This is going to be their biggest car count at Berlin since 2016. And then also Arca West, they're going to Kern County. Only 15 cars, unfortunately. For that race. But there are some names in both of those races that I would keep an eye out. Going to give a shout out to Willie Mullins. He's going to Berlin. Nice to see Willie Mullins in the field again. Uh, I know Max Reeves. He's making his main series debut. I'm curious how he'll do after he won three races in Arca East already. He's only 15 years old, but he'll be carrying the cookout colors there. So I'm curious what's going to be going on there. He's got Bobby Labonte as his driver coach.
Oh
Gonna
wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull up some of the other entry lists as well. I know we're kind of going a bit over time here, but I kind of want to get it in. Berlin, I'm curious what's going to happen there. 200 laps. We also have Mason Mitchell in the field again. Trayton Lapsevich. Oh,
It's a
this
Canadian, yeah.
yeah, this comes as big news because Thad Moffitt is no longer full time in the 46. It is now Trayton Lapsevich that's going to be taking over for this week for Nitro Motorsports. So Thad unfortunately had a sponsor back out, and Thad Moffitt. This has happened for the past few years where he starts out full time and then a sponsor backs out. So I feel bad, but I'm curious how Trayton does this week. Mandy Chick also makes her return, driving for Maples Motorsports. Uh, there's also a few other names in the field. Dale Shearer, nice to see him back. Uh, Also nice to see Don Thompson making his first start since 2023. Michael Clayton making his first ever start. A lot of interesting names in the field of 24.
For
Then
sure.
Arca West, they only have 15 cars, but I think that'll be a very competitive field regardless. PJ Pedroncelli, he makes his first start since I think Kern County last year in the spring race last year in April. So I'm curious how that goes. Andrew Chapman debut there. Jaron Giannini makes his first start of the year. Uh, Buddy Shepard, another driver who usually runs in Kern County. Nice to see him again. Joey Keneally in the 9. Few interesting names in there, but I think it'll be a competitive race for sure out of there because the West Series is usually the most competitive out of the three ARCA series. Then we also have the Whelen Modified Tour going to Riverhead. They only have sadly they only have 22 cars in the field. That's kind of a disappointment because last year they had like there were like 30, almost 30 entered, so that's kind of disappointing.
Wow.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to go to the race, so maybe I'll be covering what's going on there from Riverhead. So
Yeah.
we'll
We will
see
have to
what's
talk about that for next
we'll
week's
we'll
episode.
definitely talk about that next week, depending on what happens there. But I'm curious what happens there. I mean, there's some interesting names entered for that one as well, like Luke Baldwin, the son of Tommy Baldwin Jr.,
Yep.
like Patrick Emmerling, like series regulars Justin Bonsignor, Ron Silk returns again. He missed the last two races. Mark Stewart, Roger Turbush, locals to the area, they're both entered. Uh, so I'm curious what's going to happen with that race. And then I think there's one more. Oh, we were going to talk about this kind of to close out. Actually, one more thing before that. Formula E, they unveiled their calendar for next year already. So they're going to be going to Madrid next year for Formula E. And then they're moving the race in Miami from Homestead Miami because they ran Formula E on the road course at Homestead Miami this year. They're moving that to where they run F1. They're going to be running there in January, but it's not going to be during the same weekend though, because F1 runs
Okay.
there
So
in May.
yeah.
F1 runs there in May, and
Gotcha.
F1 they also announced their calendar. I think the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, which runs at I think Imola, that's out in favor of Madrid. There's going to be two races in Spain next year. Still 24 races, but this is where I kind of wanted to talk about this part of the calendar. There's also four straight races in a row, like 4 weeks in a row for F1, which usually does not happen because I know they've usually been opposed to doing things like that. I don't remember what stretch that is, but this is not going to be something I'm happy about. They're running the Canadian Grand Prix at the exact same time as the Indy 500. That makes
Yeah. That's
zero sense whatsoever. And Formula One, I'm going to have some words for you. Shame on you. Absolute shame on you. Like, you're ruining the Christmas of racing. You're moving Monaco a week after. That makes zero sense. This is supposed to be the Christmas of racing we've had for so long. Monaco, Indy 500, Coke 600. And you're ruining it to try to
never gonna get
compete.
that.
You're ruining it to try to compete with IndyCar. The Indy 500 is the biggest race of the year in racing, for me at least. Like, it's even bigger than the Daytona 500 in perspective. It is America's race. You cannot take it away. So don't even try to compete with the Indy 500 by running the Canadian Grand Prix at the same time. You're going to lose so many viewers in that race from the States. It's complete crap that you're doing this. Like, it's complete crap. Like, and I know they put out a statement today saying, "Oh, this was by complete accident." No, this is not an accident. You're just trying to steal people from
They know what
IndyCar.
they're doing.
It's complete nonsense. Cut the crap already and come on. Like, you can't run the same race at the exact same time. Like, it's the Indy 500. This isn't like the Indianapolis road course. Like, it's the Indy 500 for crying out loud. You can't run it at the exact same time. And then they're running a race during the 24 hours of Le Mans. That doesn't make sense either. Like, I think
That's
it's
very weird.
I don't remember what race it is that they're running during Le Mans, but you can't do that. Like, and again, like, because I know they moved Monaco. Like, what if someone from F1 wants to try the Indy 500? I know Fernando Alonso does it. You just took that away again. Like, you took away any opportunity of that happening. Like, shame on you. Shame on you, Formula One. You're running this race when it shouldn't be happening. And I know they did say they may do Canada, they may move Canada back further, but still,
Yeah.
absolutely shameful that you're even doing this for a year. This is the Indy 500. And I hope Indy 500 destroys Formula One next year in the ratings on the same day. Because I know Formula One's trying to take the American market, but I feel it's starting to go down a little bit. I feel it's starting to go down a little bit. Like the market that F1's getting in America, I don't think it's going to be long term. So like it's an absolutely stupid move. Like it's and I know you don't watch IndyCar as much as I do, but it's the Indy 500. Everyone watches it.
Yeah. I
Like
watch it. That's the only thing I watch. Yeah.
it's the Indy 500. What the heck what are we doing? Like what are we doing? And I know I'm kind of saying the same thing, but what are we doing? It's the Indy 500. You can't run something at the exact same time. Like I don't care. Like you're gonna run the Canadian Grand Prix like on the same day. Run it at like 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning. I know that wouldn't be convenient to people, but like you can't run the same thing at the exact same time. Like it's frustrating. Like they're trying to get a grasp on the American market and they're doing it in the worst way possible. And they're trying to hurt IndyCar. They're trying to say, no, screw you, IndyCar. We're here. We're better than you. Well, no, that's not going to make an impact on people here. Like, and I mean, I know this is a different country, but it's the same time zone. Same time zones. Everyone's going to watch the Indy 500, F1. Like, are you even going to have 100,000 people watching the Canadian Grand Prix from the States? No.
Oh.
Everyone's watching the Indy 500. And even if you do it later in the day, people are going to be watching the Coke 600 for sure. Because who knows? Is someone going to do the double next year? I don't know. I mean, Kyle Busch, hey, Kyle Busch, if you're watching, maybe you may want to give it a shot. We want someone to do it
Why not,
again.
right?
Or, I don't know, someone from IndyCar, like Joseph Newgard and Scott McLaughlin. I know they've expressed interest. Come on down, do it. But yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
wrap up kind of with a rant there because it is so stupid that they're doing
I get
this.
it.
It's so stupid that they're running the Indy 5. Well, that's not IndyCar's fault. That's all Formula One's fault. An absolute shame on Formula One for this.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think that's going to be the last thing we're going to talk about for today. I kind of wanted to
Cool.
end it on an angry note, unless there was.
That's no, that's it for me at least. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll revisit next week.
we're going to have a lot.
I will not be here the week of the 24th, so we'll probably get Carter
Someone else
do his
on.
makeup.
We'll get someone else as a co-host. We may get. We'll figure it out by that point. But I think that's all we really have to talk about from this week in racing. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else really hot in the press right now, but
No, that's it.
that's gonna be
That's
it
a good
for
note to
us.
end it off on.
So again, we'll see you guys next week. So talking about Mexico City. And we'll be leading into Pocono then. So I'm very excited for Mexico City. First race for the Cup Series outside the United States since the 1950s. I am really
Wow.
excited for this race. Like the drivers seem excited. I mean, the teams don't seem excited, but drivers seem very excited for this. Like there's a lot of passing zones involved. Like I'm so excited.
Too. Well, we'll be talking about that next week on 500 Miles.
Once again I'm your host Adam Relkin, joined by my co-host.
Brody Wojcik.
And that's going to be it. So we'll see you guys next time on 500 Miles next week. See you guys then.
We're done?
Yep, that's it.
All right.
Sorry.